They showed us the monster and then dared us to keep the old picture in our heads. For 100 years, we wore that picture like a costume. Green face, square head, bolts at the neck, a cardboard thundercloud of terror that fit into a Halloween bucket. Then Guillermo del Toro lifts the mask and says, "That's not the whole story. That image was never the book. It was a joke turned gospel." He gives us a creature stitched with truth, fragile as skin and heavy as regret, and suddenly the legend feels small. That first heartbeat of the reveal is a theft. He stole the mythology and paid for it with beauty, pain, and a very clear warning. Stop mistaking monsters for masks. Guillermo del Toro loves sad monsters. He builds them like shrines. He lets them be small gods carved out of grief, and he tells stories where cruelty is taste, pity is currency, and wonder is the only dangerous weapon. Think of Pan's Labyrinth, Shape of Water, all of them rumor and rain and wounds that ache. With Frankenstein, he's not redesigning a horror toy. He's doing a correction. He is tracing the original bruise Mary Shelley wrote into the world and turning the wound into cinema. That matters because we have been fed a lie. Hollywood turned Shelley's thought experiment, a plea about responsibility and loneliness, into a pop icon that invites cheap scares. Frankenstein's creature in the book is intelligent, literate, poetic, a newborn learning the cruelty of faces. He is not a mask of menace. He is an orphan of science. Del Toro refuses to let that be forgotten. His creature is made to be felt, not feared. He is pale and raw, seams and tissue exposed, an anatomy of regret. The makeup is practical, tactile. It is a hand that trembles. You can't fake that with glossy CGI. Practical effects pull you close. They make the creature easier to touch with your eyes and harder to dismiss. Jacob Elordi is not just a casting stunt. He is a scalpel. The job was not to be pretty. The job was to be ruptured. Reports say he spent hours every day under prosthetics, losing weight, training his face to hold grief like a secret. The performance is not a parade of effects. It is several quiet acts of surrender. Del Toro needed a soul he could shape by light, by breath. Elordi brings that, the kind of hurt that sits in the throat, the kind of silence that is louder than a scream. That's the performance that will make people who have only seen concept art feel like they missed something important when they first looked away. Oscar Isaac as Victor is the other half of the mirror, brilliant, haunted, a man who builds and then forgets to be a father. When a creator deserts his child, the math of blame becomes messy. Who is guilty? Who is wounded more? Del Toro holds that arithmetic steady in the frame. This is not a monster movie that wants to jerk you with fake tension. It is a moral film with a monster face. It refuses jump scares because the horror is human. The choices matter more than the shocks. That is a hard sell in a culture that expects scares like stovetop popcorn. Quick, hot, repeatable. Del Toro is making art for people who still read the margins. He is asking viewers to carry a silence. He is asking for patience. And yes, he is asking for discomfort, because the point of the creature is never to terrify the loudest. It is to teach the quietest lesson. We humans make cruelty with the same hands that make wonders. Let me be blunt. The universal Frankenstein made monsters cheap because it made them simple. Simplicity is a tidy cruelty. It lets you laugh at the unalive and forget the graveyard of consequences. Del Toro's version slaps that away. The creature looks like a newborn who inherited God's mistakes. He is alabaster, raw, a body trembling with unlearned language. He has seams. He has eyes that hold a library. He does not stomp as a caricature. He reads like someone who is just becoming awake to the world's meanness. That makes the film dangerous in the way a good play can be dangerous. It asks you to admit that you once cheered for the wrong things, and that admission burns. There's a philosophical trap most adaptations fall into. They treat the monster as an object of spectacle. Del Toro flips it. He treats the monster as a subject. You see this in the small things. Close-ups do not linger to scare. They linger to listen. Hands are camera pets. Prosthetics are not meant to hide an actor, but to reveal a truth. The lab is not a stage for contraptions, but a place of birth, sterile and cold and full of echo. And yes, practical effects roar louder than any CGI scream in this movie. The bruises on the creature's skin, the way light rides over a seam, the breath fogging under a lamplight, these are tactile lies that feel honest. Practical makeup asks the viewer to be close, to inspect, to lean in because those details punish the comfortable glance. Digital skins let you look away. Del Toro's team chose the harder path because harder paths carve deeper lessons. Now, the politics of casting and the industry noise have been loud. Some fans wanted a familiar monster. The internet is full of people who believe classic equals right. That belief is sentimental armor. Del Toro says the creature is staggeringly beautiful, and for some, that is blasphemy. They want bolts and a brand. But art is not a museum of logos. It is a place of argument. Del Toro's argument is that beauty and pain can be the same thing. When you make the creature beautiful, you make the wound visible. When the wound becomes visible, you can't laugh at it anymore. You have to think. This film is also a performance test. Oscar Isaac plays Victor Frankenstein the way a surgeon plays God. He is brilliant and selfish, full of curiosity and very little humility. You watch an intelligence that can sculpt life and cannot imagine living with what it made. That is the cruel irony of the story. Waltoned ambition without accountability. Isaac's Victor is charming in the way evil is often charming. Persuasive, confident, and utterly blind to the sorrow he seeds. That's not a cartoon villain. That's an everyday failure of empathy. The creature's arc, at least from the trailer and the early footage, is not a body count. It is an education. It learns to speak, to read, to name pain. Those are small, devastating acts. Every time the creature manages a syllable, you feel the world getting smaller for him and bigger for the people who abandoned him. That is the film's beating heart. The idea that speech, like love, does not arrive whole. It is taught. And when the teacher runs away, the student is left to teach themselves with stolen scraps and broken mirrors. That is a moral catastrophe, and Del Toro makes it cinematic. We must talk about grief and duty because Frankenstein is a story of both. The creator is a parent without patience. The created is a child without community. In 2025, this map couldn't be more relevant. We live in an era that births systems and then refuses to care for their children. We make algorithms and walk away. We build platforms and dodge the abuse they enable. We create technologies and then argue about who is responsible when they start to hurt people. Frankenstein is a metaphor for that pattern. Del Toro gives the metaphor skin. He lets us see the consequences up close. That's why the film will divide people. It asks uncomfortable questions about who we are when we discard our responsibilities. It holds a mirror to scientists and to audiences. It suggests that the real horror is less the thing you build and more the way you abandon it. It is not an argument against curiosity. It is an argument for custody, the idea that every creation demands care. In our culture of fast tech and faster fame, that argument hits like a cold rain. The visual language in this film is a sort of grammar for sorrow. Blues and cold metal dominate the labs. Candlelight and warm ambers live in the creature's quieter moments. That contrast is not decorative, it is moral.